One of my favorite models to print is the Mini Joel by Wexter. This one is custom colored because of a very new thing from our friends in Toronto. I'm going to tell you all about it and how it's done right here on 3D Printing Nerd. I'm not feigning excitement here. This Mini Joel is fantastic. The color is wonderful and it's a completely custom job. This is a single STL file. This model was painted thanks to functionality added to Canvas. In fact, Sean and I had a chance to visit Mosaic in Toronto. So why don't we head out to Toronto, home of the world champion Raptors and Mosaic Manufacturing. Hashtag We the North. Hey, Derek.
Hey, Joel. How's it going?
Good. I am in the beautiful city of Toronto here in Ontario, Canada. And I'm here with Derek at Mosaic. And what's really cool is we have a new feature coming out.
To Canvas. Yeah, we're going to show you how to digitally paint a single color STL and turn it into multicolor.
So take a single model, like a single color model, and be able to make it multicolor?
Exactly, yeah. So you can take a model off of Thingiverse, standard single color model, and bring it into Canvas and print it with a palette in multiple colors.
That's kind of exciting.
Yeah.
How do we do that? Can you show me?
Sure, yeah. So we're in Canvas here. We're gonna create a new project.
Okay.
And then I'm just gonna upload a model of the Sydney Opera House.
Okay.
It's on its side, but
that's okay.
We can fix that.
These are standard slicer
for sure.
functionalities right here.
Nothing special. If you slice this right now, it would be ready for your single color 3D printer. You get one filament, one color. If we want to paint it, so we're going to click Paint Selected down here.
Paint Selected.
And that's going to jump into this new view. Kind of special. What we're going to do is come over and grab this ear brush in a different color. And
it's a brush.
It's a brush, yeah. So we're actually going to be painting red in this case onto the model.
Oh.
So you can kind of.
Yeah. Look at that. That's fantastic. Wait a minute. So the painting then, it's not following the brush. You're painting the polygons of the model, right?
Exactly, yeah. So we're switching the triangles on the model to a different color. Let's actually do something reasonable here.
Reasonable.
Well, we're going to switch the Sydney Opera House to white, and I don't know, maybe you have like a glass color for the inside of the domes, and then we're going to go maybe like this sort of yellow for the base. So
okay, it looks like you're getting some color in places that the color shouldn't necessarily be.
This could be a tedious process. I'm going around painting, like not user-friendly, but it's going to take some time.
Right.
But we're going to do something a little bit different, and that's what Create Regions is for. So we're going to turn this into what I call a paint by numbers kind of thing. So like when you were in grade school and you had those like pictures and it had a bunch of boundaries, we're going to do that with a 3D model.
Okay.
So I'm actually going to go and reset this all back to white because I can.
How'd you do that?
I'm holding Shift and clicking on everything and using the paint bucket to just wipe it all out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but we're going to create regions on this model, and an algorithm is going to run and try and find things that are a little bit different, a little bit similar, and create these purple boundaries that are going to represent different areas of the model. So this helps us paint it much faster. So we can use the fill bucket rather than using the brush tool to specify colors.
So these purple lines define the boundaries that the fill bucket won't go past.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So again, like that paint by numbers thing, you're sort of filling to that edge.
Sure.
You're going to sort of go around and paint bucket the areas that you want to sort of be the colors that you want.
Okay.
So under the shells here, we're going to do blue for the glass. Sort of go in and around here too. And you probably don't want to miss too many spots because those will actually print in white, and you probably don't want that to be white. But say here, so like I did make a mistake here, and I'm actually going to go through and paint this back to white because it should be white. And I think at this point you're sort of getting the picture of it.
Do the boundaries in Create Regions, does the paintbrush adhere to those boundaries?
It does, yeah. So the paintbrush, you can actually turn it on or off. If you want it to sort of behave with them or not, you can just toggle that on or off. So you can sort of see the purple lines disappearing there. So you can paint across them when it's off, or you can paint with them when it's on.
Okay.
And that just sort of gives you a hard line that you can paint up to it, but not past it. So
right.
it gives you sort of bit better than like a freehand experience.
Well, it's like masking in Photoshop.
Exactly, yeah. Or masking in real life with like painter's tape.
With some painter's tape, right.
Exactly.
So the brush you're using there, it's a tiny little red dot.
Yeah, so this is actually just painting specific triangles, so I can get really precise. Kind of like the pencil tool in Photoshop,
okay.
Versus the brush tool in
Or
Photoshop.
a pencil in real life.
Or a pencil in real life, yeah, exactly.
But really, with a minimal amount of time here, we've added now 2 colors to the base color.
Exactly, yeah.
Of a model that was originally just a single color model.
Oh, so I accidentally mispainted this blue.
Oh, there's a little bit of blue right there.
There's blue, and I don't want the top of the Sydney Opera House to be blue.
Obviously.
I want it to be white. And the pedestrian way would be going in
the pedestrian way.
and coloring it white,
sure.
which I definitely could do. There, I did it.
Good
but
job.
I'm going to undo that because I'm going to show you the repair tool. So what the repair tool is going to do is going to actually go and look for faces that are maybe a different color. This one's being surrounded all by white, so it's probably like saying, hey, maybe you meant that to be white. So when you click fix automatically, there, you see it disappears. So it's actually looking for faces that maybe you mispainted, maybe aren't going to print so well, and it's going to suggest something that maybe is a little bit better.
Oh, okay. So obviously, I mean, others might choose the pedestrian way is fine, like
sure.
you said. But what's really interesting is you could run this tool on a model just to kind of take care of things. It's almost like an insurance policy.
Yeah, exactly. So you can be a little bit messier in your first paint, and then you can go through and fix it afterwards. So you don't have to be quite as detail-oriented.
Cool.
So say, like, I think we're looking pretty close. I could go in and fix a couple things, but that might be a little boring. So let's just see what happens when we slice this, because that's what everyone's here for, right?
That's right.
Is see what actually, when you take this model, how do you actually create something to print with? So we're gonna save this. Now you can see sort of back in the original view.
There's the transition tower.
And that's the transition tower, yeah. So that's, it's a multicolor object, and it's gonna be printed with a single extruder printer and a palette in this case.
That's right.
I'm gonna hit slice.
So here it's going to what are you using for a slicer in the back end?
Yeah, so this is actually setting to a version of KitSlicer.
Oh, perfect.
We worked alongside KitSlicer to develop this functionality and build in some functionality for palette into KitSlicer.
Is it segmenting the model?
So the way that we normally think about multicolor models is that there's going to be multiple STLs.
Right.
That's not what we're doing here. And that's actually kind of a weird thing.
It is a weird thing.
Yeah. So what we found is if we actually did it on the slicing side, so like in the slicer itself, it's taking the multicolor objects and creating the toolpaths based off of just knowing what's supposed to be on the outside of the model, we can actually get cleaner, better parts. And we also don't have to do quite as much geometry processing and that sort of stuff. Because we're actually doing it on a 2D layer. It's actually looking through and saying, hey, I need blue on the outside of this layer, so let's just create some blue. And then it's going up to the next layer and it's saying, oh, I need some blue too.
So this is all happening per layer.
Exactly, yeah.
Oh,
so
okay.
This is actually where it's better than maybe the multi-STL approach, because it can do things on a scaled approach. So it's actually looking at the scale of your model and doing things based on that. So if you scale your model a lot, it will cut in more. If you scale it a little bit, it will cut in less, rather than always being sort of the same. And this is great for little details and really good for big details as well, so that the toolpaths aren't just doing little dots on the outside of your print. It's actually creating entire sort of loops into the part.
So if we're taking that 2D layer, I mean, just for example, let's say we have a square.
Sure.
It's a cube, but it's a slice of a cube, so we have a square. And this side of the square is a different color than the rest.
Right. Then
that side, it's not going to just put little driblets of filament there.
Exactly.
It's actually going to cut into the model so that it's,
Yeah, so when you actually notice, I think you probably have printed a table or something like that in your time 3D printing. When it's doing those legs, the print quality is not nearly as good as when it's doing the top surface, because the nozzle can sort of flow and plastic can come out of it. That's what we're doing here. Instead of just doing a little line on the outside and everything else in the other color, we're trying to create a bigger region so that plastic can start flowing out of the nozzle.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. So from here, you would just send it to palette and then it would print out?
Yeah, so you can download the G-code file in this case, and that's going to go to your printer, and then it will also come with the other file that goes to the palette. In this case, we're using it in accessory mode. You can use it in connected mode, and that would create a file for Octoprint that then is sent to your printer and your palette.
Oh, okay. So in accessory mode, there's the G code for your printer, and there's the file for palette.
Exactly.
But in connected mode, then that's kind of a merged file for Octoprint, and it's able to disseminate the information.
It sort of
and kind of sends them over here
where it's supposed to go.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
I see. So this is this model that we were just slicing, right?
Yeah.
And this was one STL. There's no multi-material about this.
Yeah, exactly.
And you painted it in canvas.
Yes.
You've got bluish for the glass, and you've got white for the fins, and no yellows here like we did there, but we did more of an earthy brown. But this is that model, and this is printed out.
It's the exact same model, yeah. So this was a single color from my mini factory from Mini World, and brought into canvas, painted in sort of the amount of time that you saw there, and then printed out on a Dremel 3D printer with a palette.
This was the Dremel?
That was the Dremel, yeah,
Wow.
Dremel 3D45.
So this is great, and this model looks fantastic, but I see in the slicer, obviously, there's still quite a large transition tower, and in the slicer, it's still telling me that there's quite a lot of filament that's needed, and a lot of it is because of the transition between the colors, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So painting is really cool, but I know that people are gonna say, now that I'm painting my models, I'm going to be using even more filament. Are you working on that?
Yeah, so I guess to begin with, explaining why a transition tower is needed. You're switching from one color to another. There's going to be some blending. Even with palette, there's still going to be blending as that goes through the nozzle. So when you go from white to blue, there's going to be sort of that milky bluish white between the two.
And that's what you're trying to eliminate with the transition tower, right?
Exactly. So if you see here on the model here, this isn't actually going to be fully dense. It's sparse. It's not the entire sort of block, always at least. But yes, it's a lot of material, and probably in this case, it's more than the actual part itself. And that's,
unfortunately,
that's sort of the unfortunate part today of multicolor 3D printing. But so when this goes live, unfortunately, yes, we're going to have that transition tower. But in the coming months in 2019, we are looking at lots of strategies to improve that. So we're going to reduce the waste significantly. One of the ways that we can do this is taking some of that transition material and putting it into the part. So into the infill, parts of the part that you don't normally see or really care about, we're going to actually take some of this blending color material and put it in there.
Okay.
So this isn't new. Other people have done it. We've actually done it before on our other software, Chroma. So we are no strangers to this. It's just taken some time to get into Canvas. There's other methods where one transition will be actually a little bit faster than the other. So if you go black to white, it's sort of long. It takes a lot of material to sort of purge out to get a clean white. But white to black, it's really quick.
It's super quick, right.
So you don't need to use the same amount of material for each of those. You can go much faster for one than the other.
Okay, so we can still configure the transition amount per material, or per
not today.
Okay.
But you will be able to. So you will be able to actually reduce the amount from white to black, so that you're not wasting a bunch of extra time and filament doing that. So that's coming as well. Another one is one that we've been asked for a lot. Is say I don't care about the colors of a part. What if I could just print this block as something that I could actually use? A block isn't particularly
a transition
useful.
model.
Yeah, exactly. So basically taking all that filament and putting it into something else. Something that you don't care about the aesthetics of, but maybe you wanted.
Right.
Yeah. So at least using some of it so transitioning into a model. So that's coming as well. And the last one that we're working on, and this one's a little bit more challenging, but we call it layer batching. So it's actually a feature that we have in Chroma, but one that's coming to Canvas, and hopefully we call it smart layer batching or something like that. So it takes it a step further, but it's going to let us print multiple layers of, in this case, blue, and then switch over to white. So if you print, say, 4 layers of blue and then 4 layers of white, you only have one transition between those.
Right.
Whereas if you sort of were switching every time, you'd have 4 transitions. So that's a 75% savings.
Right.
You can't do it on every model because there's overlaps and overhangs and all that sort of stuff. Our goal is to actually detect when you can do it, when you can't do it, and intelligently switch between layer batching and just sort of standard printing so that we can save as much filament as possible. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. This model here, though, the slice preview, it looks like it's a bunch of tool paths. Are you going to change that at all? Will that be a better visual representation?
Sure. Yeah. So that's something that we've been struggling with in Canvas since day one. Canvas has been out for about 9 months at this point, and we've been thinking about ways of yeah, making it look a little bit more visually representative of the model that you're creating. And exactly as you pointed out, these are just single lines. There's no sort of thickness to it, and there's no shading or shadows and that sort of thing.
Right.
If we're lucky, before anyone else sees this software, those will have thickness, volume, shading. They'll look great.
Okay.
So, yeah.
This episode that we're filming right here might be outdated as soon as it's released.
Very well. Yeah, that's. I think that one of the exciting things about software is Mosaic definitely has played in the hardware space for so long, and that we sort of know that it takes a long time to develop a palette and get it out into the market, and the firmware and everything that comes along with that.
Right.
The manufacturing times, everything. Software is a little bit different. We can be agile, to take a word from tech. So we can actually go and create features sort of on the fly and push them out and keep updating. And that's what we expect to do with Canvas. We have an entire team devoted to working on this product, and we intend to make it better over time. So the transition tower improvements is just one of those ways.
Okay.
Yeah.
Looking to the future, though, what are we going to see with Canvas? What's on the roadmap?
Yeah, a lot of exciting things. So transition towers improvements is number one. So
Okay.
We know what needs to happen. It's going to happen.
Great.
But actually, speaking of painting, because this video is about painting, and I think people are going to ask is, hey, I want my name on a part.
Yeah.
I want a logo or something like that. We can't do that today, yet. So hopefully soon, and unfortunately probably not by the end of June, but shortly thereafter, we want to be able to bring in text or a logo and actually be able to paint using that. So if you wanted the 3D printing nerd on a coaster or something like that, you bring in a single color coaster, you drag and drop that logo over top, and it sort of does all the math for you rather than having to go into a modeling software or something.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
That brings a lot more use to your hardware. I like that this software itself enables more people to further use their palette. Because, I mean, obviously when you had the first
Sure.
palette out, the Palette Plus, now the Palette Pro, or the Palette 2 and the Palette 2 Pro, the number of multi-material models has slowly increased.
Slowly, yeah.
But functionality like this is going to allow more people to develop more multicolor models.
Yeah. So finally, this is a dream come true, really, for me as somebody who had to be there painstakingly modeling everything that we put out in past years. Now we have an opportunity for anyone to create the content, and you can sort of customize something. You can take a model that probably maybe only 5 other people in the world want to see in multiple colors, but you can actually go and do that. Really opens a lot of doors for what multicolor 3D printing can be.
Well, what I really like about this is we're going to see people who wouldn't prototypically be called designers actually designing, whether it's single color models that they make and then color, or if they take other models that they're allowed, licensing wise to color and release, then through Canvas, they can release those to others, and other Canvas users can then print those on their palette machines, right?
Yeah, so it's opens up a whole new world to multicolor. It's cool.
So Derek, this was a lot of fun. I really liked covering painting in Canvas. I think it's a fantastic feature. I think there's going to be a lot of people that get a lot of use out of it, and I think we're going to see results that neither of us can even expect at this point. Sure. So the last thing on my notes, it does say no palette. So why would we be talking about Canvas for people that don't necessarily have a palette?
Yeah, so painting in Canvas, available today for palette, but maybe tomorrow available for Prusa MMU, multi-extruders. Yeah, stay tuned.
Oh, that would be a lot of fun. Okay, so eventually, Canvas right now powers the palette. It's the software for the palette.
For sure.
But it could power other multi-material machines.
Exactly.
That's fun. Yeah. Derek, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. I'm going to head back to the studio, color up some models with the painting feature in Canvas, and I don't know, we'll see what I come up with.
Awesome. Looking forward to it.
Derek was wonderful, and the whole Mosaic team was awesome. In fact, Sean got to play goalie for their soccer team. Woo! And the meetup was wonderful. 50, 60 people showed up. We got to have a live stream. It was incredible. A big thanks to Mosaic for hosting us for a few days.
Still recovering from the hot sauce.
He is recovering from the hot sauce. I'm recovering from the poutine. It was wonderful. But enough about poutine. Let's talk about this mini Joel. The custom colors on the mini Joel were done via the paint feature in Canvas, and each part of this mini Joel is painted a different way to kind of showcase, hopefully, what it was able to do. So the feet on the mini Joel were painted each a single color, and that was done by me in a way to think of, hey, I have this model, in a multi-material situation, I would want these feet to be different color than the legs. And so I just kind of used the tools to paint the feet or the shoes. Are those shoes or feet? I don't know.
Both?
I mean,
You have to have feet to have shoes.
true, but yeah, there's the hands aren't hands, they're little nubbins. And so the Wexter models,
That's true. Oh, gosh, we should ask. Schmied?
I don't know.
Sure.
Schmied.
That sounds not good.
The tummy was really cool because on the tummy I did these stripes and I used the create region functionality, which kind of gives me some segments to draw on, and it means that I don't go over certain spots. It's almost like masking in Photoshop, like we talked about. And what was really cool here, because we're painting polygons, it's kind of it's jumpy, it's ledgy, it's chunky, it's
8-bitty.
It's 8-bitty.
It's an 8-bit bandolier.
It's an 8-bit bandolier. And it's also incredible because what you see here is exactly what you see in the digital representation. Up here, the glasses and the eyeballs were also created using the create region functionality. And the glasses were tough because when it was like this little sides right here and the little sides right here, the Maker Game 3 had to put little bits of filament right there. And it worked great. The eyes look good, the glasses look good, and I think it did a phenomenal job. So similar to the eyes and the glasses and the feet or the shoes, whatever they are, the Schmied? Schmied. These are more like if you had a model that you wanted to print in multicolor, whereas this and then the hair are more like decorating or artistic endeavors, because the hair itself is crazy pants wild. And when I was painting this, I was just painting sections different colors. And I thought, well, we'll just let the Canvas software figure this out because I'm not going to be able to figure it out. And it did. And if you look at the hair on this mini Joel and you compare it to the digital representation, it's perfect. This print bed ain't big enough for the both of us. Drop. Oh. What I really like about this functionality is its ability for me to express artistically a stripy belly or different colored schmeat or glasses or eyes or hair or whatever. It allows me to add more colors to a single STL. And that's really cool because up until this point, what you had to do is use Mesh Mixer to cut models into pieces, export separate STLs, and then each of those STLs would be assigned a process or a color depending on the slicer you're using, and then it would hopefully print. With this one, the software, you just paint it on. You paint on the colors, and this glorious paint job here, it took 18 minutes. That was it. In fact, Sean was sitting right next to me, and I was like, done, 18 minutes, right?
I was surprised.
Obviously, you can spend a lot more time using paint in Canvas, and you can get incredible results. When we were out at Mosaic, we actually saw a lot of models that they had painted because they were testing their own software, and they looked glorious. And some of the models were way more time than 18 minutes that I spent. I think one of them was like 6 hours, right?
Oh, I didn't hear that. That does not surprise me though. They were very detailed.
But what's great, though, this is painting, right? This is painting. And so just like with painting on a canvas or in real life, more practice is going to get you better results, and better mediums to paint on are going to look better when you print them. So one of the things that I found out while painting this model is that it is low polygon in places. And it means that sometimes, because you're painting polygons, the paint isn't going to go exactly how you want it to go. And that can be kind of troubling. I know that Mosaic is working on splitting polygons just like you would in Mesh Mixer if you were to do a plane cut. And that will be coming, and it'll be awesome. But until then, the higher polygon count your model is, the easier it will be to create regions and paint the colors where you want them to go. That would mean the mini Joel belly is straight lined instead of jaggedy. Jagged, that was the word I was looking for.
I'm gonna
8-bit.
I'm gonna go with
8-bit. Canvas also, this is the initial release of painting in Canvas. And while it's going to be cool, I experienced some problems when I used it early on, and then they fixed them, and then it worked for me. And then I experienced something else, and then they said, well, you're just doing it wrong. And I was like, oh, okay. So there's going to be a learning curve to painting in Canvas. Luckily, though, the learning curve was pretty short by the time I got to play with it. And by the time you're playing with it, they're going to have squashed way more bugs, and it's going to be really awesome. Plus, the fact that Derek said, oh, you know, multi-extruders, double extruders, quad extruders, the Prusa MMU in the future, that could be available for this paint mechanism. It's fantastic. It means that all of these STLs, all of these models that we've been printing with, all of these old school files that we've been downloading from Thingiverse since like 2011, now they have a new lease on life, because now we're going to be able to add our artistic expression to them, and not by just using gradient mode and not just by using random mode. We're going to be able to put color where we want on a model, and that is the next level of 3D printing. One of the cool things also that painting in Canvas does, well, just Canvas itself, it allows you to share what you've done. So what you can do in Canvas is create the account, import a model or models, and then paint them, and then share the link. You can actually share the link with me and others and post it on social media, and then anyone else with a Canvas account can load it up and possibly print it. So in the future, I think we're going to see some times where I put out a challenge to you, my audience, and in Canvas, you create a paint job on a specific model that I create and give to you, and then we'll pick 3 lucky winners to have me print out their painted models and shown to the audience. So stay tuned for that. If you've made it this far in the video, you are incredibly awesome. And honestly, honestly, this is really cool, and I can't wait to see what you guys all do with it. I've got some other stuff that I painted up, and if it finishes by the time that this video goes live, we'll be able to show you a picture, maybe right over here, hopefully. I don't. It's good. And with that, we'll call it good. Don't forget to hug each other more. I love you all, as always. High five. No, obviously, I'm not going to be able to get out of here without actually telling you about purge blocks, right? Because these things are incredibly large, incredibly heavy, and a lot of filament. I specifically talked to Mosaic about this, and even Sean did too, a couple times. And they know that purge blocks, or transition towers as they are called, are necessary right now. And there are ways to mitigate what the transition tower is as far as size. You can do infill or transition within the infill of a model, stuff like that. So the path that Mosaic was taking for this is that this was the very, very next thing they were going to work on right after they got painting done in Canvas. The effort to get painting working was, as far as I can tell, Herculean. Like, they didn't let...
Oh, absolutely. This is no small task. There's a reason this is the first time this has been done.
Yeah, I don't think they let Derek eat until he got it finished. Him and his team. They're hungry now.
Very, very hungry.
They're hungry.
Yeah.
But this purge block was for a model that, let's see, I left it in Toronto on accident. But if you look, it's like Mini Joel could live in this house. I could mill out a house from this, and Mini Joel could live in it. So while the transition tower does suck, I'm very confident in Mosaic's abilities, especially after seeing paint work, that they will get transition towers figured out, and you won't be using as much filament on them. So we'll just put them to the side and just keep them as a reminder that one day when we look back, we're like, can you believe there used to be these transition towers? And then we'll have these relics of ages long ago. There we go. That's good, right?
Yeah. I'll insert that somewhere.
Okay.